Okay. Good afternoon, students. Hello, how are you all doing? I hope you all are doing fine. Come on. So, friends, today we move on to Fiscal Policy Unit 4, or rather, you could say Public Finance Unit 4, because this chapter is from Public Finance. It is Unit 4 of Public Finance. The name is Fiscal Policy. Okay. So, before I begin, all of you will have a question, or not even a question, rather a confusion. So, I'll clarify that both in English and Hindi before we proceed. So, friends, in public finance, in public finance, we had discussed in class number 1. Today is the fourth class. Today is the fourth class. In class 1, what we had discussed? Sir, in class 1, you had discussed about what? Do you remember anyone? Come on. Yes. So you all are absolutely correct. There we had discussed fiscal functions, not policy, fiscal functions. Then we came to second class where we discussed market failures. Then in the third class, we discussed government intervention to correct market failure. And number 4, today we are discussing fiscal policy. So as I can see in the message, some of you are asking, and that's why I wanted to clarify that, sir, we saw in the book in our study mat, there is unit 3 also, which goes by the name, the process of budget making, dot, 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 dot. So, sir, why you have not discussed this? Actually, dear students, first of all, let me clarify something. We, or I talk about myself, we don't decide that what topic we will take class on, okay? Who decides? Guess. Right. So, answer is ICAI. So, ICAI may have, for the benefit of students only, thought that we should discuss this and not that portion as far as my teaching is concerned. Okay. And hence, I have been allotted this topic. ओके हिंदी में इसी बात को मैं कह देता हूं कि अपने लोग अभी यूनिट 4 में हैं, तो कुछ स्टूडेंट्स का क्वेरी रहा होगा कि सर हम लोग जब बुक में देख रहे हैं तो उसमें प्रोसेस ऑफ बजट मेकिंग करके कुछ यूनिट 3 में एक चैप्टर है, वो तो सर हुआ ही नहीं है। तो बाबू ऐसा बात है कि टॉपिक मैं नहीं डिसाइड करता, टॉपिक आईसीएआई डिसाइड करता है, मैं पढ़ाता हूं। राइट। तो इस वजह से आईसीआई ने स्टूडेंट्स के एडवांटेज के लिए ही कुछ सोचा होगा कि डायरेक्टली अपने को इस पर चलना चाहिए। ऐसा कुछ स्टूडेंट्स के लिए आईसीआई ने बढ़िया ही सोच रखा होगा, इसलिए उन्होंने ये डिसाइड किया है। ठीक है, तो ये मैं बता दिया। तो ऐसा बिल्कुल मत सोचिएगा कि सर ने स्किप कर दिया है, सर ने डिसीजन नहीं लिया है, इट्स आईसीआई डिसीजन। ठीक है ना? आई होप क्लियर है। ये क्लियर है तो डन सर लिख दीजिए, जिससे मैं पढ़ाना स्टार्ट कर सकूं फिस्कल पॉलिसी। प्लीज कंफर्म डन सर, वी हैव अंडरस्टूड, सो दैट वी कैन स्टार्ट विद फिस्कल पॉलिसी। प्लीज कंफर्म एवरीवन। Can we start? If you have understood, we'll start with what is fiscal policy and everything. Okay. So I have explained this because you people don't think that sir ne skip kar diya. Sir has not skipped. Okay. All right. So question is, what is fiscal policy? Question one. What is fiscal policy? Question one. What is fiscal policy? Because the name is fiscal policy, so that is the apparently right question to ask. What is fiscal policy? Friends, please try and understand. Fiscal policy is a policy of government expenditure and revenue, or government borrowings for that matter. Means any policy of the government, that is going to affect government's expenditure और गवर्नमेंट्स रेवेन्यू। कोई भी ऐसी डिसीजन गवर्नमेंट की, सरकार की कोई भी ऐसी पॉलिसी, सरकारों की बाबू कोई भी ऐसी पॉलिसी, एवरीवन, सरकारों की ऐसी कोई भी पॉलिसी जिसकी वजह से सरकार की एक्सपेंडिचर यानी कि सरकार के खर्चे या सरकार की आमदनी पर अफेक्ट होता है, उसे फिस्कल पॉलिसी कहते हैं। एनी पॉलिसी ऑफ द गवर्नमेंट that affects the government's expenditure or government's revenue or government's borrowing, we call it to be fiscal policy. Hopefully it's crystal clear, everyone. Okay, great. Okay. So fiscal policy, Sejal, I have answered your question in the beginning of the class. Okay. What is fiscal policy? So friends, pay attention. What is fiscal policy? Fiscal policy involves the use of government spending. Fiscal policy involves the use of government spending. Fiscal policy involves the use of government spending, taxation, and borrowing, and borrowing, and borrowing to influence the growth of. Now, why does government do this? To affect the demand, aggregate demand, not demand. Demand is microeconomics. Aggregate means overall demand for all commodities by all consumers. To influence the aggregate demand, to influence the growth of aggregate demand, AD means aggregate demand, output, and employment. Aggregate demand, output, and employment. So, friends, any policy that involves the use of government spending, taxation, and borrowing. Any policy that involves the use of government spending, taxation, and borrowing to influence the growth of AD, output, and employment is called what, sir? Is called fiscal policy, sir. Is called what, sir? Is called fiscal policy, sir. Hopefully, it's crystal clear, everyone. Very good. Now we shall discuss what are the objectives of fiscal policy. Friends, now we shall discuss what are the objectives of fiscal policy. I am sure all of you are ready. Sir, today will we solve ICAI MAT 2? The answer is yes. We are going to discuss the ICAI MAT 2. Okay. So next question is, what are the objectives of fiscal policy? What are the objectives of fiscal policy? Output means output. Output means total output that is there in the market. Output means total output, friends, that is there in the market. Hopefully, it's crystal clear to everyone. Okay. So now the question number 2 is, everyone. Now the question number 2 is, everyone, what are the objectives of fiscal policy? Fiscal policy क्यों गवर्नमेंट अपनाती है या गवर्नमेंट को फिस्कल पॉलिसी का क्यों दरकार है? What are the objectives of fiscal policy? What are the objectives of fiscal policy? Friends, I will answer you this. See, fiscal policy, why does the government use? So to ensure that there is full employment. What is full employment, sir? मतलब जिसको काम चाहिए उसके पास काम है. Means those who need work and those who are ready to work have work. So number one, full employment. Number two, price stability. See, if in an economy prices fluctuate a lot, that economy is not good. I repeat, if in an economy prices fluctuate a lot, that economy is not good. So to ensure price stability, to ensure economic development, that in economy we grow, and finally to ensure equitable distribution of income and wealth, and finally to ensure equitable distribution of income and wealth, and finally to ensure equitable distribution of income and wealth. Hopefully it's clear, everyone. Okay. So friends, I will write it down for you and then we will learn it. Objectives of fiscal policy. Since we are doing an MCQ type, there is no need to learn, the entire paragraphs. That is, I think, a waste of time. Okay. So number one is achievement of full employment, achievement and maintenance 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 of full employment, of full employment, achievement and maintenance of full employment, maintenance of price stability, maintenance of price stability, maintenance of price stability, accelerate the rate of economic development, to accelerate the rate of economic development, to accelerate the rate of economic development, and finally, equitable distribution of income and wealth. 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 Okay. So friends, this is how we remember it. This is how we remember it. Okay. All right. So we can remember it like this, AMAE, AMAE, AMAE. We can remember it like that. Okay. So this we have to remember. Achievement of maintenance and full employment. Achievement and maintenance of full employment means whoever needs work have work. जिसको नौकरी चाहिए उसके पास है. प्राइस स्टेबिलिटी का मतलब होता है प्राइसेस बहुत ज्यादा ऊपर नीचे नहीं हो, प्राइसेस बहुत ज्यादा फ्लक्चुएट ना करे, सो दैट प्राइसेस डू नॉट फ्लक्चुएट अ लॉट. For example, I have a question to you all. You all answer me this, okay? To give CA Foundation exam, the first step was you had to register with ICAI, Institute of Chartered Accountants of India. Yes, so you had to pay a nominal amount. Can you tell me in the chat box how much you had to pay? I am explaining price stability, so for that I wanted to know. Just so that I can explain the example. Please tell me the nominal amount you had to pay to ICAI for registration. Okay, okay. So now the people, now the people have explained some, on an average, people are saying, let me take a rough figure. Suppose 9,000 people are saying. Now, friends, when I was a student, that is when I had appeared for my CPT, that is CA Foundation for you all, then I also had to pay roughly the same amount or 1 or 2,000 up or down. I think down only around. Now, suppose if instead of 9,000, so see, it has been like when I gave my foundation, it was around 2013 or 14. Okay. Today we are in 23, 24. So it's basically a decade now. So I gave my foundation a decade back. Now you will try to understand. It has been 10 years since then. Now you will try to understand. Still the price or the registration cost had remained the same. But this economy is very good. Or will you like an economy where it was 9,000 10 years back and now you are having to pay 1 lakh rupees? Will you like that? No. So much of price fluctuation you will not like. Means you will like price stability, that prices don't change much. Some 1%, 2%, 5%, 10% is understood, but they don't fluctuate by huge margin. You will also want that, right? Exactly. That is called price stability. That is called price stability. Is the second point clear, everyone? Yes, sir. Accelerate the rate of economic development. India is growing. What is economic development? Economic development is a situation where we see in addition to rise in per capita income, in addition to rise in income of the people, in addition to rise in income of the people, the quality of life, the standard of living, the health infrastructure, the education infrastructure, everything is also going up. Everything also goes up. That is called economic development. So the goal of fiscal policy is to increase the pace, increase the speed of economic development. Okay. And finally, equitable distribution of income and wealth. That is reasonably all are at same level. Okay. Yes, sir. It's crystal clear. Yes, sir. It's crystal clear. Yes, sir. It's crystal clear. All right. Very good. So what are the objectives of fiscal policy? So what are the objectives of fiscal policy? I've explained you all. Achievement and maintenance of full employment, maintenance of price stability, accelerating the rate of economic development, equitable distribution of income and wealth. I hope it's crystal clear to everyone. Sir, moving on to the third question. Let's go. Okay. Yes, sir. Sir, what are the tools of fiscal policy? Means how does the government change its fiscal policy or influence its fiscal policy? So remember, there are four main tools of fiscal policy. Remember, there are four main tools of fiscal policy. So I will write it down. Tools of fiscal policy. And then one by one, we will discuss each one of them. One by one, we will discuss each one of them. Okay. Okay. Tools of fiscal policy. So what are the tools of fiscal policy? There is taxes. B, there is government expenditure. A, there is taxes. B, there is government expenditure. C, there is public debt. C, there is public debt. And D, there is government budget. And D, there is government budget. Please note it down or take a screenshot, whatever you will like to do, so that I can now discuss each one of them. Come on, everyone. I will read all of them. Achievement and maintenance of full employment. Then you have maintenance of price stability. That is, the prices remain reasonably the same. No, too much fluctuation should be avoided. Next, accelerate. Accelerate matlab speed up. To speed up the rate of which at which India is growing. That is economic development. And finally, equitable distribution of income and wealth. And tools of fiscal policy: taxes, government expenditure, public debt, and government budget. I hope it's crystal clear, everybody. Come on, guys. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Very good, sir. Very good, very good, very good, sir. Very good, sir. Moving on. Friends, moving on. So, objective of fiscal policy we have understood. Now, or tools and fiscal policy also we have understood. Now, next what? What is next, sir? What is next, sir? Tools of fiscal policy, or we have also done. Now we are talking about taxes and an instrument of fiscal policy. Now we will talk about each one of them: taxes, expenditure, debt, budget, etc. Okay. So we will now talk about taxes single-handedly. So put the heading taxes as an instrument of fiscal policy. Of fiscal policy. But friends, before I explain this, taxes as an instrument of fiscal policy, you have to revise two terms that you had studied in the time, which time, sir? When you were, when you were discussing all those topics of business cycle. Business cycle you have done as a part of chapter 5, I am sure. So you had done there two words. Let me bring it on to you. Friends, one is the situation where prices in an economy are rising, that is inflation. And one is a situation where the economy, where in an economy, the first of all is inflation, and then there is a situation where the prices are falling. That is a situation of deflation. Remember, why does inflation take place? Just to understand, basically, you have understood when there is high aggregate demand. When there is high aggregate demand compared to the supply available. And when does deflation take place? Please pay attention. When does deflation take place? When there is low aggregate demand in the economy. During COVID, there was low demand for hotels, cafes, yes or no? Movie halls, cinemas, yes or no? That is what we are saying. So friends, what I intend on telling you is that when there is inflation, that is when there is high aggregate demand. When there is high aggregate demand, जब demand बहुत ज्यादा है, इन्फ्लेशन के टाइम पे जब डिमांड बहुत ज्यादा है, जब इन्फ्लेशन के टाइम पे डिमांड बहुत ज्यादा है, so you will want the demand to increase or you will want the demand to reduce? Tell me, you have studied this. Don't tell me you have not studied this. Yes, sir. तब we want the demand to reduce. This is called contractionary policy. This time we will use contractionary fiscal policy. What does contractionary fiscal policy aim at? Contractionary fiscal policy somehow aims at reducing the ओवरऑल एग्रीगेट डिमांड, क्योंकि इसी की वजह से तो महंगाई हुआ, क्योंकि सबके पास पैसे थे तो सब सामान खरीद रहे थे. यू ऑल रिमेंबर दिस, राइट सर? Contractionally fiscal policy, and in the times of low aggregate demand, we use expansionary fiscal policy. We use expansionary fiscal policy. You all remember this, right? We use expansionary fiscal policy, right? Now, friends, what I am trying to say is, so if in economy there is a deflation or there is a situation of recession, in recession or deflation, then what you will do? You will reduce taxes. Reduce taxes. Because if you reduce taxes, then people are having more money in their bank accounts, and so they will be able to buy more, so aggregate demand will rise. But if there is contractionary fiscal policy, it means we want to reduce the money available with the people. That time what we will do, we will, you are correct, you are correct, we will increase the taxes, we will increase the taxes, we will increase the taxes. Yes sir, we have understood. Yes sir, we have understood. So friends, there are two things in this regard. Number one, as I had told you, first is taxation as an instrument of fiscal policy. There are two parts to this. One is inflation, second is recession or deflation. When there is inflation, that is high AD. When there is recession, then there is low AD. When there is high AD, that is high aggregate demand, then we follow contractionary fiscal policy. When there is low aggregate demand, we follow expansionary fiscal policy. So during the time of contractionary fiscal policy, we increase the taxes. During the time of expansionary fiscal policy, we reduce the taxes. Hopefully it's crystal clear to everybody. Please note it down, because we are discussing what we will do here. Right? First note this down. Then there is one formula. It's not very important. It was originally important. Now it is not important. But just I am telling you for only knowledge. So please remember this. There is something called tax multiplier. Tax multiplier. Tax multiplier. Tax multiplier formula is minus b by 1 minus b, where b you know is MPC. अच्छा सर, ये जो बात आपने कहा अभी से आप हिंदी में समझा के बताएं. ठीक है, मैं हिंदी में बताता हूं. सब मैं हिंदी में बताता हूं. ठीक है ना? तो मैं हिंदी में आप लोगों को बताता हूं, आप लोग सुनिएगा. देखिए, दो बातें होती है. एक होता है इन्फ्लेशन, एक होता है रिसेशन. इन्फ्लेशन वो समय है जहां पे इकोनॉमी में चीजों का दाम बढ़ रहा होता है. रिसेशन वो समय है जहां चीजों का दाम घट रहा होता है. इन्फ्लेशन में चीजों का दाम क्यों बढ़ रहा है? क्योंकि डिमांड हाई है. समझिए बात को. आज फॉर एग्जाम्पल समझिएगा ना. फॉर एग्जाम्पल अभी तो अपने लोग जो है, हम लोग केवल ऑनलाइन, यानी आईसीआई जो क्लासेस करवा रहा है वो केवल ऑनलाइन क्लास करवा रहा है. बात को समझिए आप लोग. तो आप लोग सारे के सारे लोग इंडिया में कहीं से भी क्लास कर रहे हो, आप लोग अटेंड कर पा रहे हो. पर एक उदाहरण के तौर पर मैं बोलता हूं कि मान लीजिए कि हम लोग ऑनलाइन क्लास नहीं कर रहे हैं, यहां पर जो है एक क्लासरूम में क्लास कर रहे हैं. एक एग्जांपल लेते हैं जहां 10 स्टूडेंट्स के लिए केवल जगह है, वेयर देयर इज ओनली स्पेस फॉर 10 स्टूडेंट्स इन द क्लास. नाउ everyone is telling that I want to be the student who wants to sit in the offline class. I want to be the student who want to sit in the offline class. So see, space is limited, but demand is unlimited. So what will institute have to do? For this place, institute have to raise the prices for offline. Yes or no? This is what I am saying, that when demand is more, prices rise, because everybody's demand cannot be satisfied. So why demand is more? मेरा सवाल है, डिमांड क्यों ज्यादा है? क्योंकि सबके पास पैसे हैं. Why there is more demand? Because everybody has money. क्योंकि सबके पास पैसे हैं. तो in order to curtail that, or in order to counter that, we government increases the taxes, so that लोगों के पास जो एक्स्ट्रा पैसा है वो थोड़ा कम बचे, so that the money people have is reduced, so therefore demand will reduce. Because here we are fighting inflation. The cause was aggregate demand being high. So the only solution is to reduce it by increasing taxes, so that the purchasing power falls, so that purchasing power of the people falls, so that purchasing power of the people falls. So why we increase taxes? We increase taxes, everybody, so that purchasing power of the people fall. To reduce purchasing power of the people, to reduce purchasing power of the people, to reduce purchasing power of the people, to reduce purchasing power of the people. अब रिसेशन समझाता हूं. रिसेशन एक ऐसा सिनेरियो है जहां पे एग्रीगेट डिमांड कम रहता है. अब आप सोचिए ना, कोविड के टाइम पे लोगों के पास खाने के लिए कम पैसे थे, तो वो लोग मूवी हॉल में क्या खर्चा करते हैं. उस सिचुएशन में क्या होता है, अब गवर्नमेंट चाहता नहीं है कि मूवी हॉल्स और सिनेमाज और होटल्स बंद हो, क्योंकि बहुत सारे लोग इससे उनकी नौकरियां चली जाएंगी. तो गवर्नमेंट क्या करता है, इस सिनेरियो में टैक्सेस कम कर देता है, जिससे लोगों के ऊपर बोझ कम हो. तो जिससे जो लोगों के पास बचा हुआ पैसा है उसको वो लोग रेस्टोरेंट, कैफे या कोई भी और चीज पर खर्चा करें. खर्चा रोकेंगे तो इकोनॉमी रुक जाएगा. बात समझ में आया क्या? तो रिड्यूस टैक्सेस इसलिए होता है जिससे परचेजिंग पावर लोगों का बढ़ जाए, टू इंक्रीज परचेजिंग पावर ऑफ द पीपल। अब तो क्लियर रहेगा, हाँ या ना बताइए एवरीवन। टू इंक्रीज परचेजिंग पावर ऑफ पीपल। कम ऑन एवरीबडी, इज दैट क्रिस्टल क्लियर? yes or no please? This is the taxes portion. Come on everyone. Come on everybody, is this crystal clear everybody? Very good. People are saying crystal clear. Okay, so this is the taxes part. Only this much we need to know. Extra there is no need. Remember, you are following an MCQ paper. So this much is enough. Okay. All right, let's go. Now, friends, we are going to discuss after taxes. Now we are on to government expenditure. Now we are on to government expenditure. So now we will be discussing government expenditure. Okay. So let's put the heading government expenditure. Government expenditure. Government expenditure as an government expenditure as an instrument of fiscal policy. Government expenditure as an instrument of fiscal policy. Government expenditure as an instrument of fiscal policy. Okay. So first of all, we got to clarify that what does government expenditure include? What does government expenditure include? Then we will talk about what is done during inflation, deflation, etc. We will look into it. Okay. We will look into it. But first of all, government expenditure as an instrument of fiscal policy. So first of all, let's understand the different components of government expenditure. First of all, let's understand everybody the different components of government expenditure. First, everybody, let us understand the different components of government expenditure. So what does the government expenditure include? We will classify the different types of expenditure. Different government expenditure we will classify. So three things it includes. Components of government expenditure includes three things. What are the three things, sir? Number one, number one is, everybody, please pay attention. Number one is current expenditure. What is current expenditure? What is current expenditure of the government, sir? Arey Baba, it means day-to-day expenditure of the government. Day-to-day expense of the government. Sir, what is day-to-day expense of the government? Salaries of different government employees, salaries of government employees, and similar other expenses. You know, administration expenses, salaries of government employees. These are current expenditures of the government. Okay. Then, friends, you have capital expenditure. Capital expenditure. When government builds any infrastructure, suppose a bridge is being built. So infrastructure cost is capital expenditure. Infrastructure cost, something like this is capital expenditure. And then government has to make transfer payments. In national income, we have studied what are transfer payments. Transfer payment are one-sided payments. If you all have forgotten, transfer payments are one-sided payments. If you all have forgotten, then I remind you, transfer payments are one-sided payments. Transfer payments are one-sided payments. Transfer payments are one-sided payments. Transfer payments are, everybody, one-sided payments. एक तरफा payment. Pension, for example. I hope you remember that. So these are the three expenditures of the government that is basically undertaken by the government. Is this clear? Yes or no, everyone? Yes, sir. Very good. Very good. Very good. Now, now students, let me tell you something. Now students, let me tell you something. Once you have understood the components of government expenditure, now let's talk about the actions. Now let's talk about the actions. Let's talk about the actions of the government. Okay. Yes, pension, scholarship, etc. It's all right. So now, action by the government. Action by the government. So, friends, there are two things here. So, friends, there are two things here. Action by the government, there are two things here. Okay. So, for people who want me to read this out, okay, I'll read it out for you. Components of government expenditure. It includes current expenditure, which is the day-to-day expense. For example, salaries of government employee. Then is capital expenditure, which is the infrastructure expenditure. Then there is the transfer payments, which are the one-sided payments. Example, pension, scholarship, etc. Now, action by the government. Everyone, if we talk about action by the government, if we talk about the action by the government, then there are two things here. As usual, you are expecting and you are expecting it correct. There is inflation and there is recession. First of all, try to understand something. If there is inflation, there is high aggregate demand. Okay. If government is spending more, try to understand, try to understand. गवर्नमेंट का स्पेंडिंग लोगों का इनकम बनता है. सोच के देखिए ना एक बार. अगर गवर्नमेंट खर्चा किया, अरे तो भाई जो गवर्नमेंट खर्चा किया वो किसी का तो इनकम बना. If government has spent, then my dear students, the spending of the government is income of individuals in the society. Yes or no? Yes, sir. Now what I try to tell you here is that during the times of inflation, since the objective is to reduce aggregate demand, during the times of inflation, since the objective is to reduce aggregate demand, since the objective is to reduce aggregate demand, henceforth what is done? Henceforth what is done? Since the objective is to reduce aggregate demand, during the times of inflation, government reduces the spending, reduces spending, reduces expenditure. Okay, sir, we understood it. But if it is a recession, then government is not doing well. Government needs money to do well. So what do? We increase expenditure. What do? We increase expenditure during recession times. We means the government. So that in economic activities keep taking place. Economic activities do not, come to a halt. We want to prevent economic activities from coming to a halt. Yes, recession and deflation are almost same. Baki recession is, you could say, extreme form, or deflation is extreme form. That is in the business cycle chapter number 5. Microeco section, you have done it. Whatever it is, let's focus on recession now. So during recession, government should increase expenditure. Government should increase expenditure. Increase expenditure. Increase expenditure. Government should increase expenditure during this time. During this time. Friends, understood? Yes or no? Come on, everyone. Come on, everyone. Come on, everybody. Yes, sir. सर एक्शन फिर से समझाइए. ओके, एक्शन मैं इंग्लिश में हिंदी में फिर से समझाता हूं. देखिए, अगर इन्फ्लेशन है मतलब महंगाई, ये मानते हो. महंगाई क्यों है? क्योंकि एग्रीगेट डिमांड हाई था. क्योंकि एग्रीगेट डिमांड हाई था. क्योंकि एग्रीगेट डिमांड हाई था. अरे महंगाई क्यों है? बोलो. क्योंकि एग्रीगेट डिमांड हाई था. क्योंकि एग्रीगेट डिमांड हाई था. महंगाई क्यों है? क्योंकि एग्रीगेट डिमांड हाई था. अरे तो मालिक, अगर एग्रीगेट डिमांड हाई था, सोच के देखो ना. अगर एग्रीगेट डिमांड हाई था, अगर एग्रीगेट डिमांड हाई था, प्लीज समझिएगा बात को. अगर एग्रीगेट डिमांड हाई था तो अब तो उसको कम करना होगा ना, क्योंकि तभी तो इन्फ्लेशन आया. तो एग्रीगेट डिमांड कब कम, कैसे कम होगा? जब गवर्नमेंट इकोनॉमी में जो खर्चा कर रही है वो कम कर दे. क्योंकि एग्रीगेट डिमांड क्यों हाई था? क्योंकि सबके पास पैसे थे. सबके पास पैसे क्यों थे? क्योंकि गवर्नमेंट इकोनॉमी में खूब खर्चा कर रहा था. अब अगर गवर्नमेंट खर्चा कम कर देगा तो लोगों का इनकम कम हो जाएगा. लोगों का इनकम कम हो जाएगा तो ऑटोमेटिकली इन्फ्लेशन कंट्रोल में आ जाएगा. और वैसे रिसेशन मतलब जहां लोग खर्चा कम कर रहे हैं, जहां डिमांड कम है. अरे कम डिमांड की वजह से तो लोग बेरोजगार हो जाएंगे, क्योंकि कंपनियां लोगों को नौकरी नहीं देंगी. अगर कंपनियों का सेल ही नहीं होगा तो नौकरी किस बात की देगी लोगों को? तो गवर्नमेंट चाहता है कि इकोनॉमी में डिमांड हमेशा बढ़ा हुआ रहे। तो जब रिसेशन आता है ना, गवर्नमेंट इकोनॉमी में खुद कुछ ब्रिज बनवा के या कुछ ना कुछ करके खर्चा करता है। क्योंकि जब गवर्नमेंट खर्चा करता है इकोनॉमी में, तो लोगों के हाथ में पैसा आता है, और वो पैसे से लोग अपना इकोनॉमिक एक्टिविटीज चलाते हैं, तो इकोनॉमी में इंक्रीज करते हैं एक्सपेंडिचर। दिस इज व्हाट आई एम ट्राइंग टू से। होपफुली इट्स क्रिस्टल क्लियर एवरीवन। Hopefully it's crystal clear. Sir, in English, when there is inflation, there is high aggregate demand. Hence, there is inflation. Why there is aggregate demand, high aggregate demand? Because everybody has money. So what to do if everybody has money? Reduce the purchasing power so that less people have money. How to do that? By reducing the expenditure, because expenditure of government is income of the people. So if government reduces its expenditure, income of the people reduce. Opposite in the case of recession. Hopefully it's crystal clear now. Hopefully it's crystal clear now. इसको मैं, this part I can help you with a form of cycle. In the form of a cycle. What is the cycle? There is high aggregate demand. High demand. Why high demand? Because why high demand? Because everyone has money. Because everyone has money. So if everyone has money, then what it leads to? It leads to inflation. It leads to inflation. So how to control inflation? To control, to control, reduce AD. How to reduce AD? By reducing aggregate demand. How to reduce aggregate demand? By either increasing taxes, by either increasing taxes or reducing government spending. By reducing government spending. I hope this kind of cycle is clear to you all. Yes or no, everyone? Please take a screenshot or note this cycle down. Yes, Kushi, it definitely does. Inflation and deflation does affect a working person. We will talk about that later on. Abhi it is not required. Abhi that discussion is not needed. Abhi you have understood this. That is all is needed. Please confirm, na? Is that clear, everyone? Yes, sir. It's crystal clear. Now, similarly, in the case of recession, why recession is taking place? Because there is low aggregate demand. Why there is low aggregate demand? Because less people have money. So if less people have money, then what to do? There is, first of all, recession. Now, how to control it? High aggregate demand is the solution. But how to increase aggregate demand? To increase expenditure, to increase expenditure or reduce taxes is the answer. Another cycle I have made. Hopefully, it's crystal clear, everybody. Please note this one down as well. Come on, friends. Come on, friends. Come on. Yes, sir. It's clear. Now, friends, two formulas rather, I would like to tell you. Please pay attention. Okay. Just like there was tax multiplier, na, I would like you to know there is something called government spending multiplier, which is nothing but investment multiplier. Government spending multiplier is nothing but investment multiplier. So, friends, government spending multiplier is nothing but investment multiplier, and its formula is 1 by 1 minus b. Okay. And friends, then there is something called balanced budget multiplier. Sir, what is this balanced budget multiplier? Just small things I am telling you. Balanced budget multiplier. So friends, you all know that budget is balanced when government expenditure equals to government revenue. So basically, Basically, when this is the scenario, we can say balance budget multiplier equals to 1. Balance budget multiplier equals to 1. How, sir? Because you see, this is tax multiplier. Tax multiplier is, see, there is tax multiplier, which is minus b by 1 minus b. Then there is spending multiplier of the government. Then there is spending multiplier of the government, which is again what? Which is again 1 by 1 minus b. Yes or no? So if you add them up, you will get the LCM of 1 minus b and so 1. So basically balance budget multiplier equals to 1. More of the things you don't have to remember, only this you have to remember for the sake if they ask an exam that what is the value of balance budget multiplier, just remember it's 1. Do not overcomplicate it. Okay, Aditya, sure, you can do that, no problem. Friends, is this clear so far? Is this clear so far, friends? Is this much clear so far, friends? Yes. Now you note it down. So balance budget multiplier is nothing but 1. Khatam. Nothing else is needed. All right, done, sir. All right, done, sir. Now moving on. Now moving on. Public debt as an instrument of fiscal policy. 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 Delta G is, see, friends, delta G is government expenditure. Delta is tax revenue of the government. Since expenditure is revenue in a balanced budget, this is what we have written. Public debt. Okay. So, friends, sources of public debt. Government has two sources of debt. Everyone, just like everybody, there are two sources of debt. Suppose I talk about you. If you want to do business, you can take debt from two sources. Number one, you can take debt from your parents, your brother, sister. Yes or no? That is internal sources. Similarly, government can take debt from its own people in the country. Or what can government do? Just like you can take from outside, from your neighbors, etc. You can take loan. Similarly, government can take from outside India, outside house, and that is called the two sources of debt, internal and external. That is available to the government. That is available to the government. Okay, sir. Please tell us. TM is tax multiplier. SM is spending multiplier. TM is tax multiplier. SM is spending multiplier. So there are two sources of debt, as I told friends. Number one is internal. When government borrows from its own people in the country, when government borrows from its own people in the country, when government borrows from its own people in the country, when government borrows from its own people in the country, and then there is external, and then there is external. External. What is external, sir? When government borrows from outside. What is external, sir? When government borrows from outside. What is external, sir? When government borrows from outside. When government borrows from outside country. When government borrows from outside country. Friends, these are the two sources of debt if you talk about public debt. Now you all tell me, action. Action by government. Again, we talk about action by government. You all will tell me, I will not help you all, that during inflation, government should give debt to the public or take debt from the public. And similarly, during deflation or recession, government should take debt from the public or give debt to the public. I will not, try to answer this. You will answer me if you have understood the last two. Public debt means debt taken from the government, from the public, by the government. उधार, डेट का मतलब उधार, जो सरकार ने इंडिया के बाहर से लिया है या इंडिया के अंदर से लिया है लोगों से। और क्या डेट का और क्या मतलब होता है? आप मुझे बताइए, everyone you tell me, during inflation what will government do? There are two options. Either the government will take debt or government will repay the old debts. What should the government do during inflation? You all tell me, I will not answer. Karthik, good answer. Karthik, good answer. Very good. Inflation में what is the goal? The goal is to reduce money supply. Inflation main goal is to reduce the money supply. The main goal during inflation is to reduce the money supply in the economy. Very good. So friends, if the goal is to reduce the money supply in the economy, friends, if the goal is to reduce the money supply in the economy, if the goal is to reduce the money supply in the economy, then what would the government do? Take debt from the public. टेक डेट फ्रॉम द पब्लिक. लोगों से पैसा लो जिससे लोगों के पास कम पैसा बचे खर्चा करने को. टेक मनी फ्रॉम द पीपल, टेक डेट फ्रॉम द पीपल, सो दैट पीपल आर लेस लेफ्ट विथ लेस फंड्स in order to spend, hence controlling the inflation impact. Very good. Very, very good. Now, what to do in deflation or recession times? What to do during this time? To increase money supply. Now, how can government increase money supply? Repay the old debts so that people get their money back. Repayment of old debts. Repayment of old debts. Correct. Very, very good, Vivek. Repayment of old debts. Friends, is this clear, everyone? Yes or no? Come on, guys. Yes, sir. Very good. It's crystal clear, sir. So now, friends, see, I had told you that there are four basically instruments. You see, we have spoken about taxes. We have indeed spoken about government expenditure. We have indeed spoken about public debt. And now we will speak about government budget. And now we will speak about government budget. We'll speak about government budget. You all know, friends, this is the month of February going on. And this month only, the first day, budget is presented. First day means first working day. This month it was 1st February only, working day, and hence the budget was presented this day. I hope you remember. Very good. So now we will discuss budget as an instrument of fiscal policy. Budget as an instrument of fiscal policy. Yes, Muskan, definitely. After 10 minutes. Budget as an instrument. Budget as an instrument of fiscal policy. Budget as an instrument budget as an instrument of fiscal policy. Is that clear, everyone? Yes, sir. We'll speak about budget as an instrument of fiscal policy. Now pay attention, everyone. First of all, what is a budget? Basically, budget is a projection. Budget एक आने वाले साल का projection होता है. Budget is basically a projection of what, sir? Estimated receipts and estimated expenditure of the government. ये एक एक्सपेक्टेशन है बजट, जहां गवर्नमेंट बताता है कि गवर्नमेंट को क्या एक्सपेक्टेड है, आने वाले साल में कितना पैसा आने वाला है और कितना पैसा जाने वाला है, कितना पैसा आने वाला है, कितना पैसा जाने वाला है. इसका स्टेटमेंट को हम लोग बोलते हैं बजट. चलिए लिखिए क्वेश्चन, व्हाट इज अ बजट? लिख लो. बजट इज अ स्टेटमेंट ऑफ revenue earned from budget is a statement of revenue earned from taxes and other sources and expenditure made by government in a year. Made by government in a year. So statement of revenue earned from taxes and other sources and expenditures made by government in a year. These are all expected, for the upcoming year, because when February it is presented not for the past. Budget is a forecast of the future, estimate of the future, not the past. Okay, so this is what is a budget. Friends, generally, if you talk about the types of budget, we have 3 types of budget, as the name would suggest. Acha, by the way, whenever I will talk about revenue of the government, I will represent it with R. When I will talk about expenditure of the government, I will represent it with E. First of all, note this much down, then we shall have a conversation after this. Please note this much down at least. Come on, everyone. Come on, everyone. Is so much clear? Now, there are 3 kinds of budget. One is surplus budget, one is balanced budget, and one is deficit budget. Surplus budget, balanced budget, and then there is deficit budget. And then there is deficit budget. Friends, here you will have to look at the forecast. If the government is expecting its revenue to be greater than the expenditure, it's called surplus budget. If the government is expecting the revenue to be equal to the expenditure, it is called balanced budget. And if the government is expecting the expenditure to be greater than the revenue, that is known as deficit budget. That is known as deficit budget. That is known as deficit budget. I hope it is crystal clear to everyone. When the revenue is greater than expenditure, it is surplus. When it is equal, it is balanced. When the expenditure is greater than revenue, that is deficit. Is that clear, everybody? We will talk about the action taken during the times of inflation or deflation. We will talk about the action taken during the time of inflation and deflation. That is not to be worried. Don't worry about that. All right, let's go then. Let's go then. Let's go then. Now we talk about further. Now we talk about further details. So pay attention, everyone. Now we talk about further details. Let's go. Yes, sir. Please tell us. Yes, sir. Please tell us. We are listening. We are listening. Now, action by the government. As usual, action by the government. Acha, by the way, just a minute. When government's revenue is greater than expenditure, it means government is spending less in the economy. This will reduce aggregate demand. This will do what? This will reduce aggregate demand in the economy. When the budget is balanced, it means neither the government is earning more nor spending more. So there is no impact on aggregate demand. But if government is spending more than its revenues, जितना आ रहा है उससे ज्यादा खर्च कर दे रहा है, तब तो इकोनॉमी में इसकी वजह से एग्रीगेट डिमांड बढ़ेगा ना, क्योंकि लोगों का इनकम बढ़ रहा है. सो इट विल इंक्रीज एग्रीगेट डिमांड. सो इट विल इंक्रीज एग्रीगेट डिमांड. So it will increase aggregate demand. And now, friends, what I tell you is, since it reduces aggregate demand, so surplus budget. So surplus budget is usable when? When do you want to reduce aggregate demand? During inflation. Very good. So when is the surplus budget preferred? When is the surplus budget preferred or budget surplus preferred? When there is the time of inflation in the economy. When is the balanced budget present? Yeah, or preferred? Balanced budget is preferred, my dear friends, when there is a situation, basically neither during inflation nor during deflation. So never it is preferred. When the economy is stable, then you can prefer this. So when there is stability in the economy. But if you want to increase aggregate demand, then what budget you will prefer? Then what budget you will prefer? And that is during the times of deflation, deficit budget will be preferred, because during the time of deflation or during the time of recession, you need to increase the money supply so that people spend, and hence this is the action taken by the government. I hope it is crystal clear, friends. Yes or no? Come on, everybody. Come on, everybody. Very good. Friends, is it clear? Friends, is it clear? Is so far so good? Right. Now, friends, as I had promised you all, I am allowing you all 5 to 10 minutes break. But those who have doubt can take the doubts. I will take. I am here only. I am not going anywhere. It's break for those who need it. And for the rest, please ask the doubts. Rest, ask doubts. Those who don't need break, ask doubts. Come on. Come on, everybody. So budget is a statement of revenue earned from taxes and other sources and expenditure made by government. It is surplus budget where revenue is greater than expenditure. Here it, see, surplus budget reduces aggregate demand. Surplus मतलब गवर्नमेंट खर्चा कम कर रहा है इकोनॉमी में, तो डिमांड कम होगा. ये तब यूज करना चाहिए जब इन्फ्लेशन हो. बजट बैलेंस्ड है, वो स्टेबिलिटी के टाइम यूज करना चाहिए. डेफिसिट बजट मतलब गवर्नमेंट खर्च ज्यादा कर रहा है, जितना पैसा आ रहा है उससे, इससे डिमांड बढ़ता है क्योंकि खर्चा ज्यादा हो रहा है. तो ये तो आप डिफ्लेशन या रिसेशन के टाइम पे यूज कीजिए. आप मतलब गवर्नमेंट. Come on, next doubt, everybody. Niskarsh, then you have to start watching from the beginning. Start watching the topic from the beginning. Yes, here is the chart. I am presenting it, no problem. All the four charts from the beginning I am presenting. Those who want screenshot can take. So here you can take screenshot. Done. Screenshot. Done. Again. Done. TM. TM means TM means tax multiplier. SM means spending multiplier. Yes, fiscal policy has limitations, and we will discuss that, Anuj, in today's class only. Budget's impact on society. See, what tax the government will take from you is decided by the budget. In which sectors the government will spend is decided by the government. So suppose government decide to spend on education sector, health sector. So healthcare will become less costly, education will become less costly. So it definitely impacts the society. Multiplier. Multiplier is investment multiplier only. That we have done in this chapter, Keynesian economics, first class. First no, second class, Keynesian economics. And as far as limitations of fiscal policy are concerned, we will discuss that. So that is not a problem only. There are two sources of debt, internal and external, Riti. Internal debt is basically debt taken by the government from its own country people. And external debt is basically debt taken by the government from outside the country. For example, IMF, World Bank, something like that. Mr. Sarkar, you will get the recordings in the BOS app of ICI, in the BOS app of ICI, in the BOS app of ICI, number one. And number two, it's in this ICI tube, that is the institute's YouTube channel. There, the playlist is there in the playlist section. One more minute and then we will start. Okay, let's go. Let's shoot now. Okay. All right. Let's go, everybody. So now what we discuss is fiscal policy for reduction in equalities of income and wealth. In income inequalities. Okay. So fiscal policy for reduction in inequalities of income and wealth. 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 Sir, is that clear? Yes or no? Come on, everybody. Okay, let's go. Okay, let's go. Fiscal policy for reduction in inequalities of income and wealth. So now pay attention, everyone. Number one, what is inequality? Where the rich gets richer and poor gets poorer. Inequality means, meaning of inequality. Inequality. Rich becomes richer, poor becomes poorer. Rich becomes richer, poor becomes poorer. Yes, sir, that's fine. Yes, sir, that's fine. Now, sir, what next? Now, sir, what next? Rich becomes richer, poor becomes poorer is all right for us. Now, sir, what? How does government interfere here? Government can do two things, or rather three things. Government action, three major things. First of all, spending on welfare, spending on welfare, spending on welfare, welfare. For example, you know there are different poverty alleviation programs, different Garibi Hatao programs where government promises employment to people and gives employment to people, skill development programs for the poor so that they learn something and then they can make an income out of it. They can make a living out of it. Yes, sir, we remember. So number one is poverty alleviation programs. Number one is poverty alleviation programs. Point A is poverty alleviation program. Medical care. See, the poor people need free or subsidized medical care. So what government can do is, in order to help them, provide free or subsidized medical care. What else can government do? Government can provide free infrastructure. Free infrastructure means place to stay, place to live in. Infrastructure government can provide. Government can provide social security benefits. Social security benefits like old age pensions. You know, to support people in their old age, government can provide old age pensions. Government can grant subsidies for essential goods. So if a farmer is basically growing a crop, they can get subsidies on the fertilizers and pesticides. Grant subsidies for essential commodities. This will help the poor people. This will help the poor people. Understood, not understood? Yes or no, everyone? Come on. So The first thing is, yes, Manrega. One of you said Manrega, Karthik. Manrega is Mahatma Gandhi National Rural Employment Guarantee Act. Basically, Manrega was launched in 2005, which promises 100 days of guaranteed employment to people in rural areas. If they don't get employment, government is going to give them salary for free without any work on their part. Midday meal program, unemployment allowances called Berozgari Bhatta. So poverty alleviation program, free or subsidized medical care, infrastructure, social security benefit like old age pensions, government can grant subsidies for essential commodities. All of this you can understand. Yes or no? Come on, everyone. Next, progressive direct taxes. 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 What does it mean, sir? Means, example I'll give you. For example, 0 to 5 lakh, government is not taking any tax. Suppose 5 to 10 lakhs, government is taking 10%. Suppose this is not the real tax rate. For above 10 lakh, government is taking 30%. For suppose 1 crore and above, government is taking, 40%. I'll just give you an example. So what I'm trying to say is this is progressive taxes, where the rich has to pay a larger portion of their income as taxes compared to the poor. Poor have to pay low taxes or no taxes. Poor have to pay low taxes or no taxes. Is that clear, everyone? Come on, guys. So friends, that's the concept of progressive direct taxes. You see, the more you earn, the more tax you have to pay. Correct, 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 Khush. Moving on. Finally, we have differential indirect taxes. What is it? Differential indirect taxes. Differential indirect taxes. Meaning, indirect tax example. Direct tax example is, by the way, income tax. I hope you all know this. You all are going to become chartered accountants. Here the example is GST, goods and service tax. So now, friends, what government does in case of GST is, for example, you buy a luxury car. For luxury items, high rate of GST, for example, 28%. But for essentials, government is keeping no GST, 0% GST or 5% GST. This is what I'm trying to say. This is called differential. I hope it's crystal clear, everyone. This is called differential indirect taxes. Means because luxury goods are generally the rich people buy, so tax them at high rates. Necessities are or essentials are generally everybody buy, so do not tax that because it will affect the poor very strongly. Sir, we understood everything. I am sure you all understood everything, guys. I'll explain it again. So in case of spending on welfare, government can launch poverty alleviation programs, free or subsidized medical care, infrastructure facilities, social security benefits. Government can grant subsidies for essential commodities. Correct. Then government can launch progressive direct taxes, wherein the more the income, the greater the tax rates. And in differential indirect taxes, what government can do is luxuries can be taxed at high rates, while essential can be taxed at low or no rates. Wealth tax also somehow comes under income tax, but wealth tax is an old phenomenon now. So don't talk about wealth tax in the class anymore. Okay, done. Very good. Now, friends, one of you asked, what are the limitations of fiscal policy, which I totally agree with the question. And so now I am going to discuss with you limitations of fiscal policy. And after this, we will solve the institute back questions. Okay. So let's see. Limitations of fiscal policy. Limitations of fiscal policy. Limitations means problems, or you could say disadvantages. troubles, demerits, cons of fiscal policy. Is that clear, everyone? So let's go ahead. Number one problem of fiscal policy is the lag. Sir, what is lag now? Lag means delay. Lag मतलब delay होता है. Lags. Sorry, I have written lays. I think I am feeling hungry now. So lags is basically delays. Lags is basically delays. Now, what kind of lags are we talking about here, sir? Multiple. Lags means delays. You know, there is recognition lag. सबसे पहला problem, recognition lag. Means later on government has realized what the economic problem is. मतलब इकोनॉमी में प्रॉब्लम क्या है ये गवर्नमेंट को बाद में समझ में आया. तो सबसे पहला परेशानी तो यही हो गया. Delay in understanding the problem of the economy. Delay in understanding or recognizing. Delay in recognizing the economy's problems. Delay in recognizing the economy's problem. This is the first kind of lag or demerit, you could say. Lead is when something is done in advance. Lag is when something is delayed. For example, our class starts at 2 p.m. If you arrive at 1:50, it is lead. But if you come to the class at 2:30, that is lag, delayed than the ordinary course. Okay, now moving on. Recognition lag means government has realized later on that there is some problem with the economy or what the problem is. Second would be decision lag. Decision lag is, you know, friends, when government takes the decision very late. When government takes the decision very late. What decisions, sir? About the policies. When government takes the policy decisions late. When government delays to decide the appropriate policy. Delays to decide the appropriate apt policy. So when government delays, that is called decision lag. If it delays, then friends, there is something called implementation lag. Friends, there is something called implementation lag. Sir, what is this now? Implementation lag. Implementation lag. Sir, what is it? Implementation lag. Policy has been decided on time. Here decision was taken late. In the second case, decision late लिया गया था. Third case में decision time पे हो गया. Implement late हुआ. If policy decision taken on time. Policy decision taken on time. Taken on time. But delay in implementing them. But delay in implementing them. But delay in implementing them. And lastly is impact lag. Impact lag. Impact lag. Impact lag is when everyone we do something. Please pay attention. Impact lag is when we do something, but the impact of it is felt, perceived, understood, realized later on. When we do something, but the impact of it is felt, understood, realized much later on. That is called impact lag, dear students. So I will read it out, everyone. Lags. The first demerit is lags. Recognition lag is when there is delay in recognizing the problem. Decision lag is when decision delay has been done. Implementation lag is when decision is taken on time, but implementation is taken later on. And impact lag is when you have implemented on time, but the impact you see later on. Outcomes of a policy Outcomes of a policy not visible for some time. Not visible for some time. Outcome of a policy not visible for some time. Outcome of a policy not visible for some time. Sometime. That is number one, lags or delays. That is number one, lags or delays. That is number one, lags or delays. Hopefully it's crystal clear, everybody. Come on, everyone. Right, sir, it's clear. Next is difficulty in reducing government spending. सपोज मान लीजिए कि गवर्नमेंट ने डिसाइड किया कि स्पेंडिंग कम करना होगा इकोनॉमी में. सपोज द गवर्नमेंट हैज डिसाइडेड दैट इट विल हैव टू रिड्यूस द स्पेंडिंग, बट इट कैन नॉट बी, theoretically it is very easy to say okay, reduce government spending, okay, increase government spending, but theoretically it is easy to say. Practically it's very difficult to undertake. You know why? How can government reduce expenditure on items like defense, social security, pensions, etc.? You tell me. It is practically difficult. If you talk about practically, many of the things in theory will fall short. It is practically difficult to reduce spending on various items such as defense, social securities, etc. Social securities, etc. Third thing is gestation lag or gestation period. Gestation period. What is gestation period, sir? First of all, try to understand the meaning and then we shall talk about it. You take a decision today. Its effect you see after some time. That is gestation period. The time gap is called gestation period. So public works like spending on iron, steel, etc., railways cannot be reduced or cannot be adjusted. Public works cannot be adjusted easily because many huge projects such as highways, dams have long gestation period. Long gestation period means time gap in between them. Have long gestation period means time gap. Have long gestation period. Sir, these are some of the limitations. Any more limitations, sir? Definitely there is. Policy conflicts. Friends, policy conflicts. Policy conflicts. You know what happens in policy conflicts? When a policy is designed to achieve one objective, adversely affects another. When a policy designed to achieve one objective adversely affects another. Sir, we did not understand. Adversely affects another. Suppose, for example, government decides to spend more on healthcare this time. Spending on healthcare, government increased. But increased spending on healthcare means somewhere it has reduced. So suppose reduction on education. So government has to reduce spending on education. So see, designed to achieve one objective had effect on another. Hospital, healthcare, government wanted to increase, so it had to reduce education. This is policy conflict. कि aim to achieve one may hamper the other. Next, government borrowing increase. See, if government borrowings increase, then it creates a debt on future generation. In India, past governments have taken debt, so the present government have to feel that burden and have to repay that debt. Loans become a burden for future generations. For future generation, you all think na, suppose your parents take some loan. If your parents take a lot of loan, then automatically after their life is over, it becomes a burden on you. That is what it's saying. Same with government. If government takes a lot of loan, then the upcoming governments will have to bear that burden. Understood, not understood? Yes or no, Yash? Everyone understood? These are, some of the impacts, limitations. So I will read it. Lags means delays, difficulty in government spending. Sometimes spending cannot be reduced, as in case of defense. Sometimes gestation period, like in case of dam building, is high. Policy conflicts. Two policies may have conflicts of interest. And finally, government borrowings. Increased debt burden creates is created for future generation. Is created for future generation. Hopefully, it's crystal clear, everyone. उम्मीद है क्लियर है सभी को. तो अब हम लोग लास्ट पॉइंट पे चलेंगे जिसको बोलते हैं क्राउडिंग आउट इफेक्ट. क्या बोलते हैं? क्राउडिंग आउट इफेक्ट. We are now moving on to the last point, which is called crowding out effect. What is it? Crowding out effect. See, first of all, the definition, then I will explain. Write down the heading crowding out effect. Write down the heading crowding out effect. So, friends, when private spending, when private sector spending is replaced by government sector spending, जहां पहले प्राइवेट सेक्टर खर्च करता था, अब यदि वहां गवर्नमेंट सेक्टर आ जाए, उससे हम लोग बोलते हैं क्राउडिंग आउट इफेक्ट. उससे हम बोलते हैं क्राउडिंग आउट इफेक्ट. जिन एरियाज में प्राइवेट सेक्टर खर्चा करता था, अब वहां गवर्नमेंट सेक्टर एंटर कर चुका है. सर प्लीज कैन यू टेल अस द एग्जांपल? आई विल टेल यू एन एग्जांपल. आई विल टेल यू एन एग्जांपल. Please pay attention. Okay. So suppose, for example, you all have heard of science students giving IIT exams. And so for IIT exams, most of the students go for private coaching. Yes or no? IIT exams. Now, if government starts its own coaching for free, then the private coaching provided by this private organization, they have to spend. Private organizations earn, but they also have to spend on earning. That is completely replaced. This is called crowding out effect. Sir, is it good or bad? It is bad impact, where the government is basically competing with the private sector. So it is not at all good, but sometimes it happens. So, for example, suppose if government distributes free computers to good students, then automatically the demand with the private sector for the new laptops from the students will fall, as students are getting the laptop for free from government. So the students' demand for laptops from the private sector will fall. So basically, private sector is facing a punch by the government. That's called crowding out effect. Is that clear? So that we can write. It's government intervention basically, like in monopoly market. Yes, dear Omkar, I am reading it. Crowding out effect. Friends, did you understand? Types of fiscal policy we will discuss, don't worry. And by the way, types of fiscal policy we have already done. If you have not paid attention, here you have done Mr. Vivek, contractionary fiscal policy and expansionary fiscal policy. Here only I had discussed. I will revise it, no problem. Okay. So now let's make a note on the crowding out effect. Okay. When government spending, when government spending replaces private spending, replaces private spending, spending, the latter, that is the private saving, private spending, the private spending is said to be crowded out. मतलब बाहर भगा दिए private spending को. The private spending is said to be, is that clear everyone? But their private spending is said to be crowding out. सर हिंदी में बता दीजिए. ओके मैं हिंदी में समझा देता हूं. देखिए, जब गवर्नमेंट की जो स्पेंडिंग है वो प्राइवेट स्पेंडिंग की जगह ले ले, उसे हम क्राउडिंग आउट कहते हैं. उदाहरण के तौर पर अगर गवर्नमेंट फ्री लैपटॉप्स बांटने लग जाए तो प्राइवेट सेक्टर जो बिजनेस कर रहा है लैपटॉप्स का, जिस उसको डिमांड मिलता है स्टूडेंट से, बट अब स्टूडेंट से कोई डिमांड ही नहीं मिलेगा प्राइवेट सेक्टर को, क्योंकि गवर्नमेंट फ्री में लैपटॉप्स प्रोवाइड कर रहा है. इसको हम लोग बोलते हैं क्राउडिंग आउट. तो बेसिकली गवर्नमेंट प्राइवेट सेक्टर को भगा दिया. दैट इज कॉल्ड क्राउडिंग आउट. इससे बेनिफिट भी पब्लिक सेक्टर के पास आता है, खर्चा भी पब्लिक सेक्टर का लगता है, प्राइवेट सेक्टर बाहर हो जाता है. लिख लीजिए. क्राउडिंग आउट इफेक्ट, crowding out effect is the negative effect, is the negative effect, crowding out effect is the negative effect, crowding out effect is the negative impact, is the negative effect, crowding out effect 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 is the negative effect. फिस्कल पॉलिसी में जनरेट, may generate when money from private sector, बेसिकली जो प्राइवेट सेक्टर का अधिकार था वो पब्लिक सेक्टर छीन लिया. when money from private sector, when money from private sector is crowded out to public sector, is crowded out to public sector. Okay. Yes sir. So now we will discuss its impact. Now we will discuss its impact. अब हम लोग इसका इम्पैक्ट डिस्कस करेंगे. अब हम लोग इसका इम्पैक्ट डिस्कस करेंगे. इफेक्ट, इफेक्ट, इफेक्ट on consumption. Friends, if there is crowding out taking place, consumption, if effect on consumption, then what will happen? If there is recession, इफ देर इज रिसेशन, अगर रिसेशन है, अगर रिसेशन है, then economy's ability to recover will reduce. Why? Economy's ability to recover will reduce. Why? Will reduce if crowding out takes place. if if crowding out takes place, समझिए बात को, हिंदी में बोलता हूं, यदि गवर्नमेंट क्राउडिंग आउट करने लग गया, रिसेशन के टाइम पे गवर्नमेंट खर्चा जोर जोर से करने लग गया, प्राइवेट सेक्टर बाहर हो गया, जब रिसेशन खत्म हो जाएगा तो लोग किसके पास नौकरी करेंगे? प्राइवेट सेक्टर तो बाहर हो चुका है, तो लॉन्ग टर्म में यह हानिकारक हो जाएगा, लॉन्ग टर्म में यह हानिकारक हो जाएगा क्राउडिंग इफेक्ट, अगर इकोनॉमी में रिसेशन चल रहा है तो। और ड्यूरिंग इन्वेस्टमेंट, नाउ फ्रेंड्स, इफ गवर्नमेंट स्पेंडिंग इंक्रीजेस, टेल मी, अगर गवर्नमेंट की स्पेंडिंग बढ़ी तो इसका मतलब गवर्नमेंट का बोरोइंग भी बढ़ा, मींस बोरोइंग बाय द गवर्नमेंट हैज इंक्रीज्ड. फ्रेंड्स, इफ बोरोइंग बाय द गवर्नमेंट हैज इंक्रीज्ड, it means interest rates by the government, interest rates charged by banks have increased. Arey, of course, if there is more demand for money, interest is the price paid to take money, interest is the price paid for money. अगर बोरोइंग बढ़ेगा तो इंटरेस्ट रेट भी ऊपर जाएगा, अगर इंटरेस्ट रेट ऊपर जाएगा तो प्राइवेट सेक्टर क्या और ज्यादा खर्चा करना चाहेगा लोन लेकर? नहीं, तो प्राइवेट स्पेंडिंग कम हो जाएगा, तो इकोनॉमी में इन्वेस्टमेंट कम हो जाएगा. इज दिस क्लियर एवरीबॉडी? So I will explain this. During recession, economy's ability to recover will reduce if crowding out takes place. That is in long term. Investment, if government spending rises, that is government will have to borrow. So government borrowings has also risen. If government borrowings has risen, interest rates have risen. Agar interest rates have risen, then private sector spending will reduce because interests have become costly or money has become costly to borrow. Is that clear, everybody? Friends, is that clear, everybody? Come on, everybody. Yes or no? Come on, everybody. Yes or no? All right, fantastic. Now, friends, as I told you, fiscal policy is of two types. As I had told you, fiscal policy is of two types. I will write down the difference. One is, friends, expansionary policy. Expansionary policy, we are discussing types of fiscal policy. So, friends, there is expansionary policy. Friends, there is expansionary policy and there is contractionary policy. And there is contractionary policy. Friends, when is the situation in which expansionary policy is pursued? When there is deflation situation, then we spend more money. Deflation situation. But friends, if there is inflation situation, then contractionary policy is pursued. Inflation situation. Tools. If you talk about tools, then the tools are taxes here are reduced. Here taxes are increased. Here government spending by the government is increased. Here spending by the government is what? Decreased. Here spending by the government is decreased. What else? Borrowings. Here borrowings by the government is reduced. Here borrowings by the government is increased. Here government follows a policy of budget deficit. Here government follows the policy of budget surplus. That is the primary difference. Everyone, is this crystal clear? Types of fiscal policy for those who wanted to know. This is just the summary. We have discussed it all before only. Or one more difference. Expansionary basically increases purchasing power, and this one decreases purchasing power. PP means purchasing power, of course. PP means purchasing power, of course. Friends, if it's clear, then I wish to solve with you the basically questions of ICAI MET, only if you all are ready and confirm me the same. I cannot go ahead without your confirmation. Yes or no? Come on. Bah. Clear? Bhalo to? So now we can move forward and let's solve some questions. Let's go then. Let's go. Come on. Number one, fiscal policy refers to the use of government spending, taxation, borrowing to influence the level of economic activity. Correct? Government activity related to use of government spending for supply of essential goods. No. Incomplete. Use of government tax and borrowing for reducing the fiscal deficit. No. Both of these are correct, but incomplete. Okay. Real GDP means real income. We have discussed this in national income. That is excluding inflation. Real means GDP excluding inflation is continuously declining and the rate of unemployment in the economy is increasing. Oh my God. Economy is in a situation of deflation or recession. As I can clearly see. Appropriate policy should be increased taxes. Oh my God. It is like मरे हुए को और मारना है आपको. People's employment are falling and you are imposing more taxes. Oh my God. PP is purchasing power. Decrease both taxes and government spending. See, taxes should be decreased. Very good. But government spending should not be decreased. It should be increased. Wrong. Decrease taxes and increase spending. Very good. Because this is situation of deflation. So this is the scenario we should pursue. I hope it's clear. All of you agree. Wow. Let's see the third one. Let's see the third one. What is there? Which of the following is likely to occur when the economy is in an expansion phase? When the economy is in an expansion phase. Yes. Which of the following are likely to occur when the economy is in expansion phase? So जब एक economy expansion phase में है, तो which of them will occur? Which of them will occur? Let's see. Rising unemployment, expansionary phase. Unemployment will rise. No. Unemployment will fall. Yes, certainly. I think so. Unemployment will fall because government is spending money. तो unemployment कम होगा. बढ़ेगा क्यों? Inflation rate. See, when the government is spending money, purchasing power is rising. So chances of inflation is there, definitely. No, deflation is not going to take place because expansion का मतलब ही deflation का उल्टा काम करना है. Falling or stagnate wage for workers. No, it will rise. Increasing tax revenue. Yes. Tax revenue will increase. You know why? Why tax revenue will increase? Because now government is spending. So people ka income is increasing. So the answer will be B, C and F are most likely to occur. Friends, is that clear? Yes or no? Come on, friends. Is that clear, friends? Yes or no? Come on. Very good. Let's move on to the fourth one. During recession. अपने रिसेशन की बात कर रहे हैं. रिसेशन मतलब सब कुछ धीमा धीमा है. The fiscal policy should be directed towards. Let's see what they are asking. Increasing taxes. Decreasing taxes to ensure high income. Yes. Very good. According to Kinney policy should not include. अच्छा, what should not include? During inflation, in corporate taxes should be increased. ये तो होना चाहिए, ये आंसर नहीं है. Should not include decrease aggregate demand. Yes, we want to decrease aggregate demand during inflation. Government should increase government purchases. हाँ, increase government purchases. Very good. So increase government purchases. Keynesian economics believed that fiscal policy can have very powerful effects in altering AD, employment and output in an economy. Fiscal policy can have an impact. Huh, I agree. It's correct. When the economy is operating at less than full employment and when there is need to offer stimulus to demand, fiscal policy is of great use. Yes, I told you to increase aggregate demand, fiscal policy is very important. It is written in the definition only. You see, all this was told by J.M. Keynes only. Now you see, affecting the aggregate demand. Yes, it is written here. I have made you write this. So A and B are correct. Wages are flexible and this is not there. So A and B are correct. That is, fiscal policy can have powerful effects on demand. And here also there is mention of demand. So definitely its correct answer is both. Seventh one. Which of the following may ensure a decrease in aggregate demand? Aggregate demand जिससे कम हो जाए. Aggregate demand कैसे कम होगा? टैक्सेस बढ़ेगा या स्पेंडिंग घटेगा? डिक्रीज इन ऑल टाइप्स ऑफ स्पेंडिंग और इंक्रीज इन टैक्सेस. एकदम सही. आगे देखना ही नहीं है मेरे को. आगे देखना ही नहीं है. इंक्रीज इन स्पेंडिंग उल्टा है, फालतू बात. नेक्स्ट. A recession is characterized by, this is your question from business cycle chapter. Imagine declining prices and rising employment. Wrong. Rising unemployment. Declining unemployment. Wrong. Rising unemployment. Declining income and rising unemployment. Perfect. That is recession. एकदम सही जवाब. Which one of the following is an example of fiscal policy? They're asking which of them is a tax cut? Yes. Reduction in expenditure? Yes. Tax and yes. All of the above. When they're asking fiscal policy, then what do we see? टैक्स होना चाहिए, स्पेंडिंग होना चाहिए, बजट का बात होना चाहिए या बोरोइंग्स का बात होना चाहिए. ये चारों दिखे तो यस 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 करते चले. आई होप इट्स क्रिस्टल क्लियर एवरीवन. Which of the following would illustrate a recognition lag? Very good. We just completed it. Very good. We just completed it. Recognition lag. To identify the need. कुछ जरूरत है. To identify the appropriate policies, decision lag. Pass a legislation, again, implementation lag. But here it is to identify the need only. This is the first lag. That is recognition lag. Recognition lag. Okay. An expansionary fiscal policy. Okay. Expansion मतलब taxes कम होगा, spending बढ़ेगा. Taking everything else constant would in the short run have the effect of. What would it have the effect of? So let's see everyone. Relative increase in GDP, yes, because money is pushing in, and smaller increase in price. Very good. Correct. I don't want to read anything else. No, large increase in price will not take place. No, same proportion nahi. Same proportion nahi. Nahi. Which statement is correct about crowding out? Wow, we just completed crowding out. Let's see what is correct about it. A decline in private spending may be partially or completely offset by the expansion of demand from increase in spending. Yes, by this is the definition. Ki private spending has been set aside and government spending has taken its place. वही तो लिखा है. एकदम सही. Crowding out effect is the negative effect fiscal policy may generate. Oh my God. Oh my God. Sir, this is what I made you all right. You see, this is I made you all right. This is what I made you all right. About crowding out. Negative impact fiscal policy may generate. Wow. Today we are in luck. And when spending by the government increases, government spending. Oh, no, 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 no. Government spending is not crowded out. Private spending is crowded out. Private investment, especially the ones which are interest sensitive, will be reduced if interest rate rise due to increased spending by the government. ये भी बताए हैं आप लोगों को. Wow. 1 is correct, 2 is correct, 4 is correct. Don't tell me नहीं बताए हैं. अभी देखो ये रहा. ये रहा. if government borrowing interest rate rise, private spending will be reduced. Oh my God. Today we are so lucky. All answers are telling. Stagnant means thum jana, ruk jana, ठहर jana. Moving on to the 13th one. Let's see what is the third one. 13th one. Which of the following is likely to shift an economy's aggregate demand curve to the right? Well, aggregate demand is something of this form and we wanted to shift it this way. Acha, aggregate demand they are telling na? Nah. This is demand. My bad. Aggregate demand is like this. Okay. Aggregate demand curve is like this basically. Right? Consumption curve is this. Keynesian economics. To the right. Okay. The question is to the right. Increases spending. Spending बढ़ेगा तो demand बढ़ेगा तो right होगा. Taxes कम होगा तो income बढ़ेगा तो demand बढ़ेगा. ये भी सही है. Tax cut along with increase in public expenditure. तीनों all will rise. To the right means because of which aggregate demand increases. That is the question यार. To the left means जिसकी वजह से aggregate demand decreases. Come on यार. Identify the incorrect statement. Okay. So 14th one we have to find the incorrect statement. A progressive system ensures economic growth with stability because it distributes the burden of taxes unequally. It's wrong. It's wrong. It's wrong, everyone. Because here there is equality, not inequality. So this one is wrong. This is the answer. They had to identify the incorrect one. Moving on. Let's see the 15th one. Let's see the 15th one, everybody. Fiscal policy is said to be contractionary when revenue is higher than spending. हाँ, when revenue is higher than spending, मतलब budgetary surplus. बताया तो है. That is government budget is in surplus. Yes, then it is contractionary. अभी लिखे भी हैं. ये रहा. Contractionary, budgetary surplus. चेक कर लो. Contractionary, budgetary surplus. चेक कर लो. लिखा है. हाँ. Correct, sir. Other thing constant, a fiscal expansion will raise interest rates. Expansion है तो interest rate बढ़ेगा and crowd out private investment. Yes, correct है. During inflation, new taxes can be levied. Correct. Inflation में taxes बढ़ता है. So 1, 2 and 3 are correct. Wrong. 4th is wrong. So 1, 2 and 3 are correct. 15B is the answer, everybody. 15B is the answer, everybody. Okay. Next, moving on to 16th. Let's see the doubts. What is the doubt? Need of policy change. Okay. Next question, 16. While resorting to expansionary fiscal policy, now they are asking for the advice. The government may possibly have a budget surplus as increased expenditure will bring more output. Wrong. बजट सरप्लस तो नहीं होना चाहिए. If it is expansionary, then why budget surplus? It should be budget deficit. Run into budget deficit. Bas, khatam. I don't want to study further. Contractionary fiscal policy. Contractionary fiscal policy is resorted to when government expenditure. Contractionary. कॉन्ट्रैक्ट करना है. कॉन्ट्रैक्ट करना है का मतलब है बजट जो है वो सरप्लस रखना पड़ेगा. तो इट इज नॉट द आंसर. 17 में इंक्रीज द एग्रीगेट डिमांड ना, टू इंक्रीज द डिस्पोजेबल इनकम. नो, कॉन्ट्रैक्ट करना है, इनकम कम करना है लोगों का. रेस्ट्रेन, कंट्रोल, इकोनॉमिक एक्टिविटी कम करना है. कॉन्ट्रैक्शनरी का गोल है कम करना. एक्सपेंशनरी का है नाम में ही बढ़ाना. इकोनॉमिक पॉलिसी बढ़ाना, एक्सपैंड करना. कॉन्ट्रैक्शनरी मतलब कम करना. ओ हाँ. When government spending is deliberately reduced. अच्छा, गवर्नमेंट स्पेंडिंग इज डेलिबरेटली रिड्यूस्ड मतलब कॉन्ट्रैक्शनरी पॉलिसी वी आर परस्यूइंग. यस और नो? टू ब्रिंग इन स्टेबिलिटी. कॉन्ट्रैक्शनरी फिस्कल पॉलिसी. यस. गवर्नमेंट इज ना trying to limit aggregate demand to sustainable levels. Perfect. So 18D seems to be the perfect answer. Next, increase in personal income tax. An increase in personal income tax reduces disposable income, leading to fall in consumption spending and aggregate demand. An increase in personal income taxes reduces disposable income. Correct. Is desirable during inflation or when there is excessive level of aggregate demand. Correct. Is desirable during inflation. Increase in personal income taxes is desirable during inflation. Yes. Increase in taxes during inflation is needed. Both are correct. While the government resorts to deliberate fiscal policy, deliberate means think. It may not attempt to manipulate. It may not attempt to manipulate government expenditure on public works, rate of personal income taxes, expenditure. Yes, expenditure income is done. Rate of interest is not touched. There are 4 tools in fiscal policy. I told you, taxes, borrowings, budgets, and expenditure. इसको छोड़ के कुछ भी आंसर नहीं हो सकता. इंटरेस्ट इज नॉट एन आंसर. Which of the following fiscal remedy would you advise when an economy is facing recession? देखो रिसेशन है तो क्या, तो मतलब अपने को पहले तो एग्रीगेट डिमांड बढ़ाना है. एक्सपेंशनरी पॉलिसी, टैक्सेस कम करो, खर्चा बढ़ाओ, बजट डेफिसिट में जाओ. लेट्स सी व्हाट इज द आंसर नाउ. द गवर्नमेंट में कट इंटरेस्ट रेट टू एनकरेज कंजम्पशन एंड इन्वेस्टमेंट. ठीक ठाक है, बट इंटरेस्ट रेट वाला बात मॉनिटरी पॉलिसी में आता है, फिस्कल पॉलिसी में नहीं. फिस्कल रेमेडी मांगा है, मॉनिटरी पॉलिसी नहीं बोला है. गवर्नमेंट में कट टैक्सेस, एकदम सही जवाब. फिस्कल पॉलिसी में इंटरेस्ट रेट कट नहीं आता. इंटरेस्ट रेट कट मॉनिटरी पॉलिसी में आता है. इंटरेस्ट रेट कम्स अंडर मॉनिटरी पॉलिसी. ओके. while if governments compete with private sector to borrow money for securing resources for expansionary fiscal policy, ये तो crowding out का feeling आ रहा है. So it is likely that the firm's interest rate will go up. Yes, interest rate will go up. Individuals may become reluctant to borrow. Interest rate will go up. Yes, गवर्नमेंट एंटर किया मतलब इंटरेस्ट रेट ऊपर जाएगा. प्राइवेट सेक्टर, इंडिविजुअल्स, सब कोई परेशान होंगे इसकी वजह से. फ्रेंड्स, चैप्टर 7 fiscal policy is also unit 4 fiscal policy is also completed. I hope you will revise and solve it. That's it for the day. Goodbye everyone. Thank you very much for the day. Tata everybody. Okay, thank you. Bye bye everyone.